Today as today is the 25th of 23, and it's 4 o'clock already. Please call roll.
Chairperson Juan Garza.
Here.
Vice Chair Ted Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman John Lash.
Here.
Alderman Emmanuel Llamas.
Here.
Alderman Brandon Tolliver.
Here. 5
present.
All right, first is approval of the minutes for 230740 from September 11, 23.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alderman John Lesh, second Alderman Emmanuel Lamas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0. We have somebody for public comments.
We have no one signed up for public comment today.
Okay. All right, can you please read the first item in the agenda?
Item 23-0709, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase a 3-year subscription for an automated integration of services to Sound Thinking Fremont, California, and Intergraph Corporation, Madison, Alabama, for a total award of $60,816.95.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Garza, members of the committee. I'm Jeff Anderson, City's Deputy CIO. This solution here will integrate the Sound Thinking solution, as ShotSpotter solution is more commonly known. Sound Thinking is the new name, with the Intergraph Hexagon 911 system we have. So right now, those kind of sit side by side, and imagine a dispatcher starts to bounce between two screens and see that happening. Now this will, what it will do is just bring it on to the one screen and help tie all of those together so that we know it's all one incident at the time of the call. So that's the ask today.
So right now, in this moment, we don't have it.
No, right now it's not integrated. It's two separate screens, so a dispatcher kind of has to look back and forth and see that it happened over here, see the alarm that came up. They then look at the alarm and then turn to their other screen and go to dispatch an officer off of that. So what we're looking to do is allow them to have eyes on one pane of glass, be more efficient, and have all of those calls that may come in about that one incident be tied together.
Okay. Comments, questions? Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Didn't we just vote on a fully integrated package that included ShotSpotter?
Alderman Lesh, that was a good question. That solution was for fuses. What that allows to do is more Lieutenant Wolcott can hold me the task here. That's for more the investigative units, and that pulls of all various data streams from all over the place, whether that's bus schedules, weather, other things that are happening from various different locations or that have happened, and allow them to pull it all together and try and draw an investigative picture. This is more of the real-time 911, the incident's happening now.
But I thought the other one was for a crisis response unit, which would be real time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I misspoke there. Absolutely, it is. So, that's more of a larger investigative unit. The drawing in more of sources from more than just the ShotSpotter solution. So, whether it's cameras that are around town, other sensors we have around town, other things around the city. That's what they're trying to do in that kick unit is pull all those things together for eyes there. That's not the 911 call center, which is what this resolution addresses.
Well, if it's going into fuses, why does it need to go into 911 into a different system?
Because the 911 calls come into the 911 center, not to the kick center.
So we're duplicating it. So we have sort of
I wouldn't say it's a duplication. They're separate functions, right, within the police department. Right, so you've got a call that comes in on 911 that's talking about an incident, in this case, a potential gunshot that happened. Right, they're now to be able to tie that back to the one that the ShotSpotters have devices have themselves tagged.
But according to the fuses, right, the officer can pull it up on their cell phone and have all that information.
Again, different functions, right? That you're not calling an officer when you call 911.
Right.
Right. You're calling the 911 call center, and those folks are trying to make decisions about which officers need to show up. So when they're there, they can make those on-scene decisions with the tools that again include various parts and the components of what we talked about. Absolutely. Different functions.
Okay, I understand that. I guess if I was the officer responding to that call, I would pull it up on my computer in the car or on my phone.
Yeah,
or whatever
understand,
access, so I would
understand,
get a
right.
full integrated picture. Does it really matter if the 911?
Well, understand,
Call center.
this is pre-dispatch, right? This has just happened, these sounds have just been detected, or a 911 call has just come in. So somebody in the call center is now saying, we need to dispatch some people to this location. This is pre all of that.
Why couldn't we just have Fusus in the 911 call center if each officer gets a copy on their phone or whatever
Yeah,
laptop
no-
device? Why couldn't we just duplicate that?
So, you know,
Is it a
I'm in
time
IT here, I'll try,
Is it a time
I'll step aside and let the lieutenant talk about the differences in function here.
So I can address it. Lieutenant Andy Walcott from the Police Department. I'm the Special Services Lieutenant. So what this integration does specifically is our dispatchers use a software called Hexagon for their CAD dispatch, the computer-aided dispatch. So in order to create the dispatch ticket, they use CAD to enter the ticket. Right now, they have to manually do that. And one of the issues is within ShotSpotter is that ShotSpotter is a completely separate system. So they have to log in separately. And most of the dispatchers are logged into, between police and fire, 6 and 8 different things at any different time. All of them got different alarms, buzzers, and all this. What this system, this integration does is it creates I think you call it an API that basically pushes the ShotSpotter alert right into Hexagon and automatically creates a ticket, so something doesn't get overlooked. The Fusus thing is the Fusus gives all the officers the information at their phones, at their laptops, and everything. But the problem is if an officer's out of the car and on a traffic stop, or helping a citizen unlock their car, or taking a crash report, they might not hear or might be tied up and unable to respond to that call, or may not even hear the ShotSpotter alert goes off. Right now, we have to rely on the dispatcher signing in and hopefully hearing and having the pop-up come up that there's been a ShotSpotter, and then they have to transfer that information by hand into the computer-aided dispatch that then sends a dispatch ticket out. The problem there is multitude. If by chance they're busy because there's a million 911 calls, and that's kind of what happens when these, we get reports of shots fired. Sometimes we don't get people calling, but other times we get people calling. And, you could have, sometimes 10 people calling 911 at the same time, and we got ShotSpotter going off, we got, fire calls going out, and the dispatchers, they're trying to make sense of it all. So to avoid any bad information going in, where they could mistype an address for a ShotSpotter alert, and we could get sent to, North Farnsworth when the shooting happened on South Farnsworth. That's the purpose of this integration. So that information goes right in, it pops up right on the dispatcher's information and display just like it would for any other ticket. And to the point is a portion of this is for the ShotSpotter integration, and that integration with that integration fee, ShotSpotter allows you up to 3 integrations. So one of those, the primary integration will be the CAD. The secondary integration will be it pushing it into Fusus too. So we're going to have to pay the ShotSpotter. They have one set fee for all those integrations. We're going to have to pay them either way, whether we just get it in CAD or whether we just get it in Fusus. We still have to pay Hexagon the same amount. It's just a matter of getting that, ShotSpotter the same amount. Hexagon, we have to pay an upfront fee, and then there's a small yearly fee. But does that answer your questions?
Yeah, I understand. So I understand the integration is one going into the 911 call center that includes a fire, ambulance, and that's not necessarily connected to the police. I do have a longer question, which you're not going to be able to answer, which I still am not sold on ShotSpotter, and I would want to see some sort of analysis of how many calls were being sent to from fireworks, a backfire, something erroneous, because the data that has been studied in other major cities says it's just not, we get sent and diverted out to calls that aren't real gunshots. I'm sure there was an example of at least one here, but I'm wondering how often we're doing that.
Yeah, I'm not prepared today to have all that information or to have that conversation, but I can answer any other questions you have about
Other
this and how it
questions?
all works.
Comments? Yes?
For this integration, I remember when we first purchased ShotSpotter a few years ago, was this an option for us that we just thought we didn't need at the time?
We didn't have any specific integrations, and I think at the time, I don't know, I wasn't involved in an original, do you know? Okay, perfect.
An IT question I can answer. So Alderman, thank you. At the time, what we were needing was this is a two-sided thing, right? There's money going to ShotSpotter for their outbound calls, and there's money going to Hexagon to receive those calls. The Hexagon side of it wasn't fully available when we got this. Now it is. Now we want to link these two together.
Okay, that's what I was
Okay,
wondering, why
okay.
we just didn't do it all at once
Right,
when we
right.
initially did this.
Right.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions, comments? No? Motion to approve, Alderman Emmanuel Lamas.
Second.
Second, Alderman John Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Yeah,
motion
no one.
passed.
No vote.
No?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So there's 4 yes, 1 no. All right. The second
Thank
item,
you.
we're going to skip until the end. Or we can do it now? All right. All right. Cynthia?
Item 23-0713, a resolution awarding the design and engineering services for Fire Station Number 9 and Number 13 to FGM Architects of Oak Brook, Illinois, and for Station Number 4 to Corrigan Clark of Aurora, Illinois.
Good afternoon. My name's Dan Osmond. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief, here to talk to you about that resolution. So I'm going to go through this quickly and then open it up for some questions. The purpose of this item is to award the contracts, like you stated, for the design and engineer for the upcoming 3 stations. In 2021, we conducted a fire station location analysis. The study determined it would be in the best interest of the public and the fire department to construct a new Station 13, and then we would relocate Station 9 and Station 4. Representatives from the fire, public facilities, purchasing, and the mayor's office, we toured some of the stations from some of the companies that that submitted their proposals. Following the tours, staff evaluated different submittals and narrowed it down to 2 companies. I believe we had 8 companies originally submit proposals. After the meetings, we narrowed it down to 2. It was the city. We've decided that it's the best interest of the city to utilize 2 different companies. And in my opinion, having the 2 firms, the one firm will start Station 4, and the second firm would start Station 13, and that company has said that a month or 2 after they've started that Station 13, they could start Station 9. So the idea is that we could get these constructed sooner than we had hoped for. The recommendation by staff is to award the engineering and design contract for Station 4 to Corrigan and Clark. Corrigan and Clark designed the current APD headquarters. Using the same company, we'll keep the desired design elements the same for the new Station 4. Fire Station 9 and 13, we are recommending the engineer design contracts be awarded to FGM Architects of Oak Brook. FGM has extensive experience in building fire stations. They've completed over 600 fire service projects, including more than 250 stations. So we respectfully request that the proposed resolution be approved to allow for design and engineering to begin.
Questions, comments?
Just a quick question. You said there was 8 or 9 bids, is that correct?
I believe there were 8 companies that initially submitted proposals.
Were those all in here, or? I don't doubt that Corrigan and Clark can pull it off, but were they all included in here, the 8 proposals?
Yeah, there's a tabulation sheet in there. We have of the top 3 that we
I
had.
saw the 3. I
Yeah.
didn't know if the others were part in there. Okay, thank you.
Ted?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Real quick, all 3 stations are slated to be brand new, correct?
Correct.
And what are the square footages approximately we're looking for each one?
They are in here. So Station 9 is between 10,000 and 11,000 square feet. Station 13 is 15 to 17,000 square feet. and the new Station 4, which will be our headquarters, along with our EMA and the EOC, is 30,000 square feet.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Okay, glad you mentioned that for the record as well. Makes a little bit more of a understanding, but of what we're doing here. But did we, just for the record, reach out to each of these firms and negotiate, or we're just accepting their values?
I can't answer that. I personally didn't reach out to anybody. Jolene, did we reach out to negotiate with any of the companies, was the question?
We spoke to them individually, but we didn't come back after this second or third round here of pricing proposals, so.
Okay, because the one thing I want to clarify for myself, I guess, is Cordy and Clark came in first and FGM came in second, right? And Cordy and Clark's a local firm. So did we compare the two proposals or no?
Yes. Of course, yeah.
I have no issue with either firm. I don't have a problem with your selection and deciding to go with one station with one firm and two stations with other. That's definitely not it. I'm just trying to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples as well. I'm okay with a small variation. It happens, but as long as there's not a large variation between the two. If you can clarify that for us.
Yeah, I'm happy to clarify it. Alex Alexandru, Chief Management Officer. So being part of the team, there was extensive discussion with each of the firms, extensive review of their proposals. About halfway through is when we decided, because of the space needs at APD headquarters and the growing number of officers, that was when we decided the EOC and EMA not only would go over to the new Station 4, but we would want to look at perhaps a second floor or different variations on the theme. FGM, extensive experience as well, but we're looking at those other two as more satellite, more efficient, more effective, more modern sites because of where they're going to be deployed, whereas Central Fire, we wanted it to be, and there's going to be a significant number of efficiencies with Corrigan Clark having already designed and being familiar with the physical plant of the building, and then being familiar with the needs of EMA and the Emergency Operations Center. So we did look at everything and decided, again, it was most efficient and effective to split the work rather than have one firm do all three, and FGM would have to play significant catch-up. And so that was a cost element as well, the familiarity of Corrigan Clark with the central public safety campus, which is what ultimately it's going to become.
All right, thank you so much.
More
Appreciate
questions,
it.
comments? Okay.
So moved.
There's a motion by Alderman Lamas, second John Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item.
Item 23-0720, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase an 8-year service agreement from Big Belly Solar, Inc., Needham, Massachusetts, for a connected smart waste solar compacting and recycling platform at Phillips Park for a total award of $713,255.66.
Good afternoon, Gio Santana from the City Department Parks. Just a quick update, we did have a typo on that price. The price is actually $785,760.96. We noticed it after the agenda had been updated. So what you have before you is a comprehensive waste management solution using modern technology to streamline waste operations in Phillips Park specifically. We've been looking at this for a few years, looking to implement operational updates. We worked with Marketplace the city's vendor for IT solutions. They did a landscape of approximately 20 companies. Out of those 20 companies, we received submissions from 3 vendors. After a thorough scoring system, we selected Big Belly. There's a lot of potential savings from this operation standpoint that include the drastic reduction of overtime that's used for garbage collection, specifically the garbage collection on Sundays, which is at a double time rate. There's offset for the offsetting the necessary garbage truck purchase. That's approximately $220,000 that this solution would help offset that. There's the reallocation of staff hours. Let's say on average that during garbage collection it takes approximately 32 staff hours to do garbage collection during a week. We anticipate that can be reduced down to 8 staff hours per week. That would translate to potential of 24 staff hours that could be reallocated to more vital functions of park operations. There's the environmental impact. Currently, our bins throughout the park are 55-gallon open air drums that present a lot of problems such as fly dumping. They're open to the air, so they're subject to wind blowing debris out of them and scattering it throughout the park. They're subject to pests, flies, bees, things like that are attracted to the garbage because they're open air containers. This would reduce the elimination of fly dumping, eliminate raccoons in barrels, eliminate strewn and flyaway trash, also greatly improve the aesthetics. Another big sustainability component to this is it would also give us the opportunity for recycling bins. I mentioned the current bins are just open air bins. Everything is commingled inside those bins. With this proposed solution, there would be designated stations throughout the park that would be single stations and as well as double stations for both recycling on one side as well as refuse on the other side. We would go from approximately 96 total locations to 53 total locations, so it would make it more efficient when we're servicing these locations. But the biggest impact on the efficiency side is because of the smart technology. We would receive notifications telling us specifically which stations need to be serviced. They operate kind of on a stoplight-based technology. Green means that they're doing fine, they don't need to be serviced. Yellow means they're being close to their threshold, they need to be serviced soon. And then the red indicator is they need to be serviced ASAP. We get those real-time notifications, so as anything is happening throughout the day, we have real-time information on when those bins need to be serviced, and we can schedule accordingly. There's also advertising opportunities similar to the smart kiosk around town. There's advertisement that can be done on these bins that could offset some of the potential cost. There's also potential for expansion. So we're looking at this kind of as a pilot program in Phillips Park, but there is potential expansion to other areas such as the transit centers, the central business district, and then as well as our remote park locations as well. There's neighboring towns that are doing similar implementations, such as close as to Donata Square in Wheaton, Glen Ellen, Clarendon Hills, Navy Pier in Chicago, and UIC. There's also bigger comparisons as other institutional agencies across the country, such as the City of Denver Parks and Recreation, El Paso Parks and Recreation, NYC Parks, County of LA, Cincinnati Parks and Recreation, City of Indianapolis Parks and Recreation, and San Antonio Parks and Recreation. At this point, I'll turn it over if there's any questions.
Questions, comments? Yes, Ted?
Thank you, Manager. I think this is one positive thing that can happen, not just for our park, maybe around our city, but this is great that you're starting at Phillips Park, right? This could be the pilot program.
Yeah, so we thought that'd be an ideal place for a pilot program, being the park is centrally located, but also having the golf course and the zoo and the high traffic of visitors that could be, well, to see how it would work in implementation for potential other areas.
Okay. What are the long-term costs on this? We have to buy the bags from them, right? Or containers, what is it that?
Yeah, so that would be something that the breakdown does have, the bags that would need to be purchased.
Okay.
And that's something that we can firm up for next week.
Right, and then but the big cost is we're purchasing these containers, right?
No, this would be a lease, so this would provide all the maintenance that would be included in the agreement would be all provided by the vendor.
In 20 years, they just take it and walk away if we part ways then?
So
20-year agreement, correct?
So this is a 96-month
96.
agreement, and with technology changing, it does give us the opportunity, as opposed to buying this and then the technology changes and we have outdated solutions. With this lease agreement, does
I
kind
don't know
of.
why I thought 20 years, but anyway, I've been reading a lot. there's a lot of information in this docket, but I appreciate that. So we have 96-month lease, and at that point, we can figure we continue with them.
Kind of a reevaluation.
Revaluation, okay, that's great. 96 weeks is, okay.
The most
years.
waste is for the soup, no?
8 years.
I'm sorry?
The soup, have
Uh,
a lot of waste in there.
Yeah, so there'd be some bins designated for the zoo, some for the park, and a few at the golf course as well.
More
Yeah.
questions, comments?
Madam Chair?
Jan?
Thank you. Do we currently have recycling out there?
No.
Did anybody look at just the cost of getting a dual bin and having staff pick it up on a regular schedule? I heard what you were saying with respect to potentially saving staff time. I don't know that I understand the math of compacting it, because I think the trucks compact it. But just curious if we even looked at just the cost of getting a recycle bin with a regular garbage bin.
So two things there. I understand the truck compacts it, but the benefit of them compacting on-site in the container itself is that it reduces the need for frequency of collections. As far as to your other question about looking at recycling before, we have looked at it before. It just doesn't work when it's not clearly labeled. It gets commingled, and it's just a kind of a reduction in redundancies.
But now you're going to commingle it and compact it.
It's two different container. It's one container with two different sides with clearly identification that should help eliminate a lot of that cross-contamination.
Well, if you had two bins that were clearly labeled, it should prevent that, but human beings are still going to make errors and commingle the garbage and the recycling, or not know that their styrofoam can't go in there or something.
Yeah, that's something too that we're looking at with the
I guess
panels.
I would prefer to just see recycling and garbage separately labeled and maintained by staff. That would be my preference.
Yes? Manuel? Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to nicely respond to that comment. I think most people know the difference between recycling and garbage, so whether it's in two separate containers or it's in the same container with two different sides, like a lot of garbage cans are, that shouldn't be a problem. People just don't know any better, they choose not to recycle. That's a different problem. I mean, we could, lead some type of educational campaign on recycling in Aurora, which might not be a bad idea, but I think this is a great idea. I think you talked to me about something similar years ago when I was first sworn in, that you were trying to bring into the park, because all the man hours that are wasted, all the tax dollars that are wasted, having staff go out and manually empty out trash cans. So, kudos for doing this. I think it's a great thing for the city. If this is a pilot program for Phillips Park, I hope that we then in the future, if it goes well here, we can expand to the golf course, Garfield Parks, and other, the downtown, other areas around the city.
Certainly.
Good job, Gio.
Thank you.
For the record, I had no input on making the selection for Phillips Park.
Oh, no,
the
no.
First one.
It makes sense, though.
I'm just a happy beneficiary of their staff's decision. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
More questions, comments?
Motion to
Is there a
approve.
motion?
Second.
Motion by Alderman Telmesiaco, second Alderman Lamas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No.
4 yes, 1 no. Okay.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item 23-0745, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract supplement with Fair Graham and Associates LLC of Freeport, Illinois, in the amount of $22,000.00 for CSO monitoring and DMR preparation.
Good afternoon, John Hoffman, Engineering Division. So we have a permit with the IEPA that we have to basically report any of our combined sewer overflows into the Fox River and Indian Creek. So as you guys are aware, we have a combined sewer system in some of the older parts of town where surface water and sanitary flows from residences and buildings combine into one system. So during rainfall events, the capacity of that combined sewer system can be exceeded. And so we have combined sewer overflow structures located near the river so that we can prevent, mainly to prevent basement backups upstream of those structures. So these combined sewer overflows have to be monitored on a monthly basis and reported to the IEPA. So we have a contract with Fair Graham, in which they go to all 16 of our structures twice a month. They make sure the meters are properly functioning, the batteries, if they need to be replaced, they're replaced. Sensors are occasionally replaced. But they also pull data off of the meters twice a month. So this data is then processed, and they're able to calculate any overflows, the duration of the overflow, how much volume was discharged. So they provide a report for us. The city signs it, submits it to the IEPA and the US EPA. So this contract will get us through the remainder of 2023 for this project. And then also, as an FYI, we'll be bringing like a 2 or 3 year contract, probably in November or December for this same type of work. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Questions, comments?
Quick
Yes,
question.
Jan?
Thank you. So what do the 2 to 3 year contract look like? Do we have an estimate on that? And I do appreciate the heads up it's coming.
Yeah, I think with like the current effort that we're doing, we're probably looking at around $75,000 per year for that contract. But it might be, I would imagine, with increases and everything, and you know, for the workers that are performing the work, it might be more than that per year.
Thank you.
Or questions or comments? No? Okay, so motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed 5-0. Next item.
Item 23-0746, a resolution to award the Frontenac and Gregory 54-inch RCP storm sewer extension project located in Ward 10 to Stokes Excavating, Inc. in the bid amount of $171,555.00.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer, Department of Public Works. So this section of open ditch, we have a decent amount of upstream storage. This is the outlet down to Spring Lake. So it's picking up various detention basins, a lot of public right-of-way. It's a lot of water, a 54-inch pipe. I mean, that's a pretty tall pipe, 4.5 feet. So when this outlets where it currently does, right at the intersection of Gregory and Frontenac, it's eroding the ditch down to Spring Lake out. So we looked at a few different options, and in reality, whenever this was done, 30, 40 years ago, we wouldn't do it this way now. We would bring that pipe all the way up to whatever outlet structure, or whatever outlet it had. So we weren't dealing with the erosion and all of the different problems that we're having now. So we originally looked at it from that standpoint and decided we've got the grade and everything worked out well hydraulically that we could continue just that pipe. So we're going to take the existing end section off and just take off with pipe all the rest of the way down. It's going to fix all the erosion issues and really just be a better end product for us, that we're not going to have to be back doing something else again 30 years from now and spending a decent amount of money replacing riprap and repairing everything that gets damaged by the erosion. So we did go out for public bid. We got 10 bids, and Stokes was the low bidder, and we are recommending moving forward with that and think that we still have time to get this project done yet this year.
One quick question.
Yes?
How many feet of pipe are we adding on?
Oh, I want to say it's like 300-ish. Hold on, I think it's in the bid tab here. Yeah, 243.
Okay. And then just for my knowledge, what is the percent, below the engineer's estimate, that -12? Is that like your estimate, it's 12% below?
Correct. Yeah,
Thank you.
that they're below the estimate. That is correct. Yep.
Okay. So there's only one pipe, big pipe.
Yep, one
going
big
to the
pipe.
Spring Lake, right?
Yep.
Okay. Questions, comments? Okay.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Emmanuel Lamas, second John Lesh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. Thank you. Next item.
Item 23-0748, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract with Nedrow Painting, Aurora, Illinois, in the amount of $107,250 to perform maintenance on the pedestrian bridge near River Edge Park in Ward 1.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer again, Department of Public Works. So this would be, so the pedestrian bridge by River Edge Park, There's an anti-graffiti coating on the center member. There's nothing, there's just a regular sealer on the ground. You can't put anti-graffiti on it because it's too slick. But that center beam that goes anywhere from 12 feet high down to the benches in the middle all has an anti-graffiti coating on it. And it's worked well because that bridge has been graffitied a number of times. The problem is we're not pleased with its adherence. It's not sticking well. There's some areas where it's starting to come off, and it's giving the bridge a pretty poor aesthetic look. It's past its warranty period, so there's nothing we can do with the original contract that was between IDOT and the contractor who built the bridge. So what we're recommending is just remove that and go with something more like a concrete colored stain, something that when there is graffiti in the future, we can just reapply a section of stain. The bridge, if you've been on there, there's dividers every 10, 15 feet or so. So we'd be able to paint a whole section for, it wouldn't cost very much money to have our staff go do that compared to the time it takes to remove the graffiti after a bridge has been tagged. So we think that's going to give it a better look. We've really been disappointed with how it's looked this year specifically. It started early spring, and so we've been working our way through trying to figure out the best way to attack it. So we've got that solution now. We went out to bid, and we did receive 2 qualifying bids. The low bid was from Nedro, Nedro Painting. They're a firm here in Aurora. They do a lot of work for the city, and we're looking forward to getting this moving so that yet this fall, hopefully with the weather holding, that we can get that off and then have a fresh look for the new year. And for Chris Kindle even, hopefully.
So they want a painting now?
Yeah, it would be a stain, so it's not going to be like, it's not going to be like a paint that would.
Similar color? So they
Yeah, it would
look
be
like
similar.
concrete color?
Yeah, we're going to go with a concrete color, and it's a stain, so it kind of soaks into the concrete versus a paint that would just give us the same level of what we have now, where potentially a couple years down the road, it would start peeling and look worse. And that's actually one of the, maybe 10 years from now, we have to repaint it again, but we'll be staying on top of the graffiti, and we think that it's just going to give it a better look than what it looks like now.
Questions, comments? Yes?
So, I guess just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, since this is going to be kind of like a staining, if I'm a graffiti artist, I'm not going to know that, so it's not going to necessarily stop me from, marking up this area. So pretty much it's just, it's going to be cheaper to maintain it. Because that's kind of what the gist is, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And they don't know that the anti-graffiti coating is there. Unless they're listening to a lot of our meetings where we're talking about it, because they are tagging it all the time. And we are out there frequently spraying it. With the power washer, we've got the right equipment to take care of it, but we need something there, because if we just left it bare concrete and it got tagged, that doesn't come off as well. So, and then we would have fewer options, and then we would be here saying, hey, we want to paint this and have, stain it, I should say. But yeah, exactly, you got it right.
So this 107 amount that we're looking at right now, it's 107 because it's through the entire bridge, but then as it inevitably gets marked up down the line, we would just have to do those sections, like in the picture, these 10 to 15-foot sections.
Exactly. And this has, we're asking, just so that it's all consistent, we're asking to get that, we asked for 2 5-gallon buckets of it right out of the gate, because, again, we are out there relatively frequently, so we will have to be out there again.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yes, Manuel?
Just a quick one. You mentioned earlier that we really don't have a graffiti problem on the floor because it has some type of sealer that prevents that. Is that not an option for the centerpiece to have that same type of sealer?
Yeah, linseed oil is more, you put it on, and that has to go on pretty frequently. We put that on there. That's more for stopping damage just to the concrete surface itself. It really doesn't have anything to do with the concrete, but the fact that it's there, it probably would make it a little easier to remove, but we don't want to put any graffiti coating or deal with stain or anything on the actual deck itself. So this would be more appropriate for the vertical surfaces, which are the ones that they gravitate towards so far, but.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Question? Yes, Jen?
Go ahead.
Just so, first of all, thank you for coming up with a solution, because the flakiness doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't.
And I guess what confidence level do you have that painting it is going to produce the results that we want and not flake and deteriorate it.
Yeah.
Well, eventually it's going to need to be, and is
you're
10 gallons of attic stock enough?
No, we'll have to be, again, that's a great point. Yeah, this isn't a solution it's going to be done forever. Yeah, we are going to have to be back. In addition to just touching up when it gets graffitied, if we can't power wash it off, yeah, we'll have to be back in 10 years to redo the coating. But the stain, what we like about the stain approach is it's not going to create that filmy barrier on the outside. So what's happening now that we've noticed is anytime, concrete cracks, that's just what concrete does. There's shrinkage cracks, and you see it on sidewalks all the time. We pour them in 5-foot sections. That's where it's cracking. So we try and control it as best we can in construction. And what's happening now is even though there's no major cracks, there's little micro cracks in there. And when the water gets into the concrete and it seeps through those cracks, that anti-graffiti coating is almost acting like, you can even see it sometimes after a rain, there'll almost be like a little bag of water. It's trapping the water, exactly. So with the stain, we're hoping that there's not going to be that barrier, and that where those little cracks are, it'll seep out. So we might have, a cleaning to do if there's ever, any efflorescence or anything that starts to appear, but at least that's not going to cause the massive discoloration that we're seeing now. So we think it's the right approach, and we're willing to take a chance.
Yes, Dave?
You just said something that's going to lead me into my segue in my question. Taking a chance. Have you gone to visit anywhere else where we've used it in the city anywhere, this opaque stain? Because opaque and stain really don't add in my vocabulary, in my profession. What I'm trying to get at is we've seen it somewhere, so we have an idea of what it's going to look like before we apply it, or have our contractor apply it, and make sure that it doesn't look like Battleship Gray when it's finished, right? And then everybody's like, oh my God, it's a great concept, but visually it doesn't add up.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And actually, way early on in the process, this is one of the things we looked at with the bridge, and we actually did do some staining for some sample sections. We found some that were good, but we thought, this anti-graffiti coating, this is what it's for, so let's just keep, let's go with what we had originally planned. And in this contract that we're looking to have you award, we do have, once the anti-graffiti coating is taken off, that we are going to have them paint or stain some sample areas for us to review to make sure, A, that we're happy with what it looks like, and B, that we pick the right color. So that both of those items are covered in this contract. That's all part of the dollar amount that we have in here.
Okay. All right.
Just a quick follow-up, because following up on, I guess my big concern long-term is that you're going to put it on 1 year, it's going to get bleached over the course of several summers, and then you're going to go try and paint it, and it's not going to match, and then we're going to, and just kind of to Ted's point, that we're going to be back here another year or two doing the same thing, and it might just be a reoccurring problem for the Aurora City Council.
And it could be. That's a great point. That could be something that we're dealing with, where maybe instead of a 10-year restaining cycle, we are out there every 5. If by the time it is getting a lot of sunlight, and it could bleach out. So hopefully, if we pick the right, a nice light gray, hopefully we get a little bit more longevity out of it. And again, that would be the backup option to do any touch-up painting. The goal would hopefully still be a good amount of the graffiti we can still get off just by pressure washing. But if not, then at least we've got the option to do something else.
Other option, to put a cameras there.
They are, but so they're there. It's being monitored by the staff at River Edge Park, but they're in and they're out so quick that it's been hard to catch them all.
To my point about the cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are more plans for additional cameras even on River Edge and Wilder Park. So.
Okay.
But it's hard to identify them off of what's on the camera.
Right. No more questions, comments? Yes?
So the color, if I understand correctly, the color has been chosen already? Or-
It has not, no.
Okay, so are they gonna do like samples on some
Yep.
of them just to kind of see?
Yep.
And then the power washing, do we know if that's gonna do anything to the staining itself? Is that gonna discolor it or anything like that?
It shouldn't, no, because we don't use any like harsh chemicals or anything like that. Usually it is just high pressure water. We don't do a lot of the we don't, for the graffiti or whatnot, we don't do a lot of it. Obviously, if it gets really bad, then maybe we wouldn't want to do that over the river anyway, and we would just go to staining a new section.
Oh, good.
So moved?
Okay, motion by Alderman John Lesh. Who's second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Emmanuel Lamas.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. Thank you very much. And no other item to discuss at this meeting? Okay,
Motion adjourned.
motion adjourned by Alderman Emmanuel Lamas.
Second.
Second, Ted Misiacos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion adjourned at 4:45. Thank you very much.